Chapter 5, The Trouble with the S Word. Not being able to talk in school is a terrible problem, but having a girl desk buddy is even worse. It is the kiss of death. At recess, I heard, Alvin and Flea sitting in a tree, Kissing. First comes love, then comes marriage, then comes Alvin with a baby carriage. Oh, it really fried my rice. But the real problem with having a girl desk buddy is that she will follow you home no matter how hard you try to ditch her. And it is hard to ditch her when the bus stops at the end of your driveway and nearly everyone gets off and your house is right there and the whole gang can see that a girl is going up your driveway. Hi, Mrs. Ho, called Flea as soon as we reached the shop. Hello, Sophia, said my mom, smiling and using Flea's real name. Hello, Sophie, said my mom, smiling and using Flea's real name. It's very nice to see you. Mouths dropped open at the bottom of the driveway. Pinky, Jules, Sam, Mia, Eli, Scooter, and Hobson, the whole gang, stood speechless. It's nice to see you too, said Flea, blinking her one good eye at my mom. If there is anything good about Flea, it is this. She wears an eye patch over one eye, like a pirate. Also, one of her legs is longer than the other, like a peg leg, which is also marvelous. I'm Alvin's desk buddy again this year. That's wonderful, said my mom, smiling even more and holding the door open. Alvin is very lucky. Yep, said Flea, he's very lucky. Would you like to come in for afternoon tea and rice cakes? I narrowed my eyes at Flea, which meant she had better say no or go away. And my mom narrowed her eyes at me, which meant I had better behave like a gentleman or I had something coming. I'd love to, said Flea, and she stepped right inside my house and then sat right down at my place in the kitchen across from Annabelle. Worse, Lucy came and gave her the kiss that she usually gives to me. It's a terrible problem not being able to talk at school, Flea said right off, so having the right desk buddy makes a real difference. My mom nodded. She had that look on her face that said she thought Flea was a darling girl. It's a big responsibility, said Flea, so I'm even more prepared this year than last year. You have a PDK? Asked Annabelle. No, said Flea, but I made this. So she reached into her backpack and pulled out a book. The book on Alvin, it said on the cover. I wrote the book on Alvin, said Flea. Then Flea proudly opened her book. Page 1. Alvin can talk with his eyes, Flea read loud and clear. Page 2. There was a drawing of 2 eyes, my 2 eyes. These eyes mean he's thinking, I read. Flea nodded. She turned the page. Page 3. There was a drawing of 2 more of my eyes. These eyes mean he's okay, read Flea. Page 4. A pair of anxious eyes. These eyes means he has to go pee, exclaimed Annabelle without reading. Hey, I said. Page 5. A pair of big round eyes. And these eyes mean he has bingo, read Flea. What a great book, said my mom, with that smile on her face that said she thought Flea was a very clever girl, and I had still better be a gentleman or else. You are very observant, my mom added. Flea beamed. Thank you, she said. People think Alvin's uncommunicative, but he's really not. Alvin should be more proud to have a friend like you, said my mom. She was so pleased that she brought out a special treat, 2,000-year-old dragon's beard candy in a box, and offered it to Flea first. As if that weren't enough, Flea asked for chopsticks. Then she slurped her tea like she really meant it and pinched a dragon's beard candy between her chopsticks and popped it right into her mouth. She even chewed with her mouth closed the whole time. I saw dragon's beard candy on a cooking show once. said Flea, dabbing her lips with a napkin. It's made of 8,000 strands of sugar wrapped around nuts and coconut and sesame seeds. My mom beamed. I'm taking aggression for girls, Flea went on. It's a combination of kickboxing and karate, and it's supposed to make me stronger. And I got a goldfish this summer. His name is Botswin. He watches action movies and swims around only during commercials. She smiled and reached for another piece of dragon's beard. I could hardly stand it. I think it's a stupid book, I blurted, and you're a stupid girl. Flea gasped. She clasped the book on Alvin to her chest. Her mouth fell open, and some beard strands fell out. Alvin Ho, said my mom, you apologize right now. I hung my head. I had used the S word. I crossed my chopsticks this way. Then I crossed my chopsticks that way. My mom was giving me that look, which meant that I had better apologize or she would make dragon's beard out of me. Yoctoseconds turned into septoseconds, turned into autoseconds, turned into a blinking of an eye, then into a heartbeat. Then my life crawled before my eyes. Sorry, I finally peeped. Tears filled Flea's eyes. It was not a good sign. I had a terrible feeling that a gentleman would never make a girl cry, even a girl with only one eye. Flea slipped the book on Alvin into her backpack and without a word headed out the door. I was so relieved and happy to see her go. I felt like dancing. If I had danced, the new look on my mom's face said she would have broken my legs. So I dashed out after Flea. I had a feeling that it was the gentleman thing to do, but I didn't really know. I couldn't remember. Hey, I huffed when I caught up with her, but Flea did not stop. She moves rather fast for someone who can only see half of everything and walks on uneven legs. Stop, I said. Flea stopped. She blinked her eye. She crossed her arms. I breathed in and I breathed out. I did not feel so good. I was on the sidewalk in broad daylight with a girl. Okay, I said. Okay, what? Said Flea. Okay, I'm going to mean it this time, I said. Flea waited. I waited. A car rolled by. I leaned over to see what was in the gutter. Nothing. Then I looked up to see if there might be any giant meteorites heading for Flea. None. So finally, I blurted, I'm sorry that it's a weird book and that you're a weird girl. Pow! I think it was an uppercut. I'd seen it on Saturday afternoon boxing with my popo. An uppercut is when you curl your arm like you're picking up a pail of rocks and you send your fist into your opponent's jaw from the bottom up. I lifted off my feet and landed on my butt. Oh, I felt like crying. So I did. Just as I was about to duke it back to Flea, a police car rolled by. Everyone knows that a police car is much more interesting than punching a girl. It was a good thing that the police car rolled by because I come from a long line of farmer warriors in China who have been duking it out since 714 AD, and it looked like Flea had taken lessons or something and knew what she was doing. So we would have battled to the death for sure, and it is hard to say how scary that would have been. Chapter 6. Minutemen versus Redcoats. If Flea were a boy, everything would be different. First, she wouldn't have ignored me all morning. Second, things would have improved between us on account of boys have more respect for one another after a good pounding. But Flea is not a boy. She is a girl. And girls are weird, even if they wear a cool eye patch, drag a cool peg leg, and know how to throw a mean uppercut. I was thinking about all this when, Alvin? A voice called, Alvin? My heart stopped. It was Miss P. She was very nice, but she has a habit of calling on you when you least expect it. Everyone was looking at me over the tops of their books and holding their breath. The hand on the clock clicked. Tick, tick, tick. Someone's toe tapped. Tock, tock, tock. My heart thumped. Boom, boom, boom. I couldn't breathe in. I couldn't breathe out. Alvin, said Miss P, would you like to skip your turn? It was reading class. We were reading something about Henry David Thoreau's furniture. He only had 3 chairs, 1 for being by himself, 2 for a friend, and 3 for a party. Normally, I like reading. Like my dad, I'm a great reader for my age. I can make my voice go up and down and pause at all the commas and periods, just like my dad, to make everything super duper exciting. But in school, I opened my mouth. The words on the page were supposed to roll right off my tongue, but nothing did. I was not skipping my turn, but it always looks like I am. If there's anything good about reading class, it is this. History class comes next. History class is not like reading class. History is all about the American Revolution. American Revolutionary War, which happened back when everyone was having fights and firing cannons left and right and enjoying all sorts of explosions without getting busted. If you live in Concord, Massachusetts, which is hard to spell, it is not hard. It is hard not to like history. My gung said it has something to do with feng shui, which is the tiny Chinese way of saying some places are more exciting than others. The only problem with Concord is that there are no volcanoes. If there was a volcano with explosions now and then, it would be the most exciting place in the world. The best thing about history, as everyone knows, is that you can play it at recess. Our favorite game is Patriots Day, which is based on the most exciting day of the year, April 19th, which is the day when the American Revolutionary War began back in 1775. Every year on that day, the church bells ring like crazy, just like they rang long ago, to call the Minutemen out from their homes to fight the Redcoats. The Minutemen were the good guys. They were ready to march or fight at a minute's notice. And the Redcoats were the bad guys, sent by the King of England to capture the gunpowder and explosives that the Minutemen had hidden all over Concord. This is how to play Patriots Day. First, the Redcoats march in across the playground from their hiding places behind the cafeteria. Then the Minutemen slither across the grassy field like angry snakes from their hiding places behind trees. They meet at the Old North Bridge, which is really the monkey bars, where the Redcoats won't let the Minutemen swing across. The Minutemen begin to swing anyway because the monkey bars belong to them. And the British say, no way, they've just captured the monkey bars, so they shoot the Minutemen, who then drop dead on the wood chips. Then the British Redcoats want to pretend to be dead too, but the Minutemen won't let them. The Redcoats pretend to be dead anyway, but the Minutemen won't stand for it, so they duke it out, just like they did back in historic times. It is mayhem and chaos. It is the beginning of the American Revolution. But before you can have a revolution, you have to choose sides. You guys on this side are the Minutemen, said Pinky, who usually does all the choosing. And you guys on that side are the Redcoats. He pointed to everyone but me. I wanted to play too, so I said with my eyes that I wanted to be a Minuteman or a Redcoat. Didn't matter to me. War was war. Hey, how about Alvin? Asked Sam. He doesn't like leaving anyone out. I stood up as tall as I could. Alvin who? Asked Pinky. He looked around. He looked up and down. Then he looked right through me. Who's Alvin? Pinky is no Pinky. He has been the biggest boy in my class since kindergarten because he started school late. And he's also the leader of the gang, which means if he doesn't play with me, the other boys won't either. I wished with all my might that Pinky would let me play, but he never does. Then I wished with all my might that I could just scream, but I couldn't. I could only stamp my foot, which didn't help. I was buzzing mad like my dad's electric razor, but I couldn't buzz. The British are coming! The British are coming! Pinky yelled to start the game. He was pretending to be Samuel Prescott, the local hero who warned Concord that the enemy was approaching. It is not fair that Pinky is always Samuel Prescott, but he is the biggest boy, and the biggest boy can be whoever he wants. God save the king, yelled Jules. Jules was the leader of the Redcoats. God save the Minutemen, screamed Sam. Charge! Everyone yelled. The gang headed for the monkey bars, where the Minutemen pounded the Redcoats, and the Redcoats thumped the Minutemen until the playground monitor came and called a timeout. It was fantastic. Even though I wasn't a Minuteman or a Redcoat, I played dead at the end anyway, because there's no law stopping anyone from lying on the soft wood chips and closing their eyes. You can't live in Concord without loving history. But I sure wish that I loved recess too.